What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champ, the flyweight champ, and the bantamweight champion of the world. Anyhow, you guys stay tuned, and you guys don't forget to hit up Artem MMA Analysis on YouTube. Because if you don't, you guys can all do me a favor and bend the knee to King Triple C.
Man, I just posted on my Instagram that I wasn't going to upload tonight. I'm going to anyway. We're going to go over the best matchups that have been announced in the UFC for this week. And we've got some good ones, man. I'm going to first go over all of the matchups, give a very quick breakdown, give a very quick opinion of my own on the fight. So let's get into the first one. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, great fight. Islam Makhachev, Dan Hooker. As you guys know, Dan Hooker is my favorite fighter. I cannot wait to watch this fight. Sean O'Malley versus Raulian Paiva. We've got Pedro Munhoz versus Dominick Cruz. Brandon Royval versus Rogerio Bontorin. Augusto Sakai versus Tuivasa. And to finish things off, we've got Darren Elkins versus Cub Swanson. So to get into the first fight that I announced, in my opinion, the biggest fight that has been announced, one of the biggest fights of the year. Once again, in my opinion, we've got Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier coming off the loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. After that, he bounced back with a win over Dan Hooker in a war. And after that, he obviously has the 2 wins over Conor McGregor. Very much the rightful number 1 contender. Charles Oliveira obviously fought Michael Chandler for the bout about 4 months ago. Now he is going to make his return to the octagon, and I cannot wait to see this fight. I'm very interested to see how it's going to turn out. Will Charles Oliveira be able to take down Dustin Poirier? Will he be able to find a submission? Or is Dustin Poirier's stand-up going to be too good for Charles? But we'll see, man. Obviously, that Charles Oliveira win over Tony Ferguson was very, very impressive, especially at the time, man. Like, that was a Tony Ferguson that we still believed had it in him, you know what I mean? And no disrespect to Tony Ferguson, but unfortunately, since then, he just hasn't looked the same. But after that, man, Charles Oliveira, very much a great champion, very much a likable guy as well. One of my favorite fighters on the lightweight roster. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, also another one of my favorite fighters on the lightweight roster. 2 very likable guys. I know that Dustin Poirier probably has a little bit of people that don't like him because they're Conor McGregor fans, but Dustin Poirier's been Conor McGregor twice in his last 2 fights. He's very rightful in this title shot here. And my pick, man, I'm going with the underdog. I know he's going to be the underdog. I looked at the odds before I made my pick, and Charles Oliveira, according to Google anyway, was like plus 130. So, yeah, I'm going with the underdog, man. I've got Oliveira, and I think he does get it done by submission. But Dustin Poirier will probably win by KO if that is his path to victory. But as you guys all know, these ones which Tapology predicts to finish inside the distance, they always go the distance. Just look at last weekend where we had Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker go all 5 rounds. I mean, who thought that was going to happen? Not me anyway. So, yeah, I've got Charles Oliveira at the moment. I mean, I flip-flop in this fight. It's so close. It's going to be so good. I genuinely can't wait. I think it's going to headline UFC 269. It is, and that card is stacked. And I will go over that card just at the end of the video as a little bit of a bonus. Speaking of UFC 267, Dan Hooker stepping in on short notice to fight Islam Makhachev. And name another lightweight that would want to step in on short notice to fight Islam Makhachev. I mean, maybe someone unranked would want to take that ranking off him, but I can't really think of really anyone apart from Dan Hooker willing to step in there. Dan Hooker obviously coming off 2 pretty bad losses, I think it's fair to say. Before his win over Nasrat Haqparast, which was very impressive in my opinion. But before that, he had that win over Al Iaquinta. Very, very close split decision win over Paul Felder. I actually gave that fight to Dan Hooker. I know there's a little bit of bias. I'm from New Zealand, but I did give Dan Hooker 3 rounds, but it was very close. I mean, I can completely see the argument either way. But moving on, he lost to Dustin Poirier in that war. He actually had Dustin Poirier hurt a little bit, and Dustin Poirier had Dan Hooker hurt as well. I mean, that was a great fight last year. Came back about 5 months later or so, and unfortunately got knocked out by Michael Chandler in the first round. That was really hard to watch, especially in the promo to the Chandler versus Oliveira fight. They played it like at least 50 times. it was pretty hard to see. And then he came back, he fought Nasrat Haqparast. He pretty much got the fight by saying, "Oh, I didn't realize you guys can't even see with my little overlay." And then after that, he told the media that he was fighting on UFC 266, even though he didn't have a fight lined up, and pretty much just through that, pretty much just telling everyone that he had a fight. UFC found him a match. He didn't mind if it was ranked or unranked, and Nasrat Haqparast stepped up to the plate. He obviously had his own problems coming into the fight. Dan Hooker had some problems coming into the fight. It was a great fight, I thought. Dan Hooker did the right thing to win the fight. He didn't fight the fight a bit too silly. I mean, you got to think about it like this. He came into the country pretty much the night before the fight and was cutting weight on the plane. I mean, you can't really expect Dan Hooker to go out and just run into Nasrat like a madman. You know what I mean? But Islam Makhachev, on the other hand, one of the most hyped prospects in the all of UFC, let alone 155. Obviously, is one of the mates of good mate Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's on a decent winning streak himself. His one loss by KO. He's got the submission win over Kajan Johnson. After that, he beat Arman Tsarukyan. In my opinion, that is his best win. Arman Tsarukyan actually wants to fight Dan Hooker, so if Dan loses this fight, then maybe they put Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan. Who knows? But Davy Ramos, Drew Dober, I mean, that's not really the worst win, but it's not really the best. And then he beat Thiago Moises, who wasn't even ranked before the fight was even announced. So Islam Makhachev getting that boost in rankings for not really any reason whatsoever, but he's a very hyped up prospect. I can understand why. Could Islam Makhachev go out and out wrestle Dan Hooker for 3 rounds? Absolutely. But I've got Dan Hooker, man. I mean, I can't not pick my boy Dan Hooker by KO. Let's go, Dan Hooker. I think he's going to get the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, Sean O'Malley fighting Raulian Paiva. And, man, I can't believe how much hate this fight has gotten, man. I mean, the same people that want Sean O'Malley to fight a ranked opponent are the same people that say, oh, every time Sean O'Malley gets a fight made, I've got to Google his opponent. It's like, dude, how do you not know who Raulian Paiva is? He was ranked at flyweight, and then he came up and fought Kyler Phillips. Very controversial decision. I personally do think that he got 10-8'd in the first round, but Kyler Phillips threw that fight really badly. If you rewatch that fight, Kyler Phillips was just throwing everything and wasted all of his energy trying to get a highlight reel KO. I even said it during the fight on my Instagram. I posted Kyler Phillips was going to throw this fight by throwing all these spinning techniques. He's going to use up all of his energy, and that is exactly what I did. So, does Raulian Paiva have a way to victory over Sean O'Malley? Yes. But Sean O'Malley's a massive dude for 135, man. Raulian Paiva's a flyweight. Sean O'Malley is 5'11", fighting at 135. He's pretty big for 135 as well. Raulian Paiva is 5'8". And yeah, I just think Raulian Paiva's more natural weight class is in flyweight. He has been KO'd, well, technically KO'd in flyweight before, which is relatively concerning. But if Raulian Paiva wins this fight, I think he should go back down to flyweight and just utilize that stock that he's going to get from potentially beating O'Malley and building up his name in the flyweight division. I think that's his more natural division. I think that's probably where he should stay. Well, I'm not an expert though. Sean O'Malley, on the other hand, 14-1, that one loss coming to Chito Vera. Hopefully we get that rematch one day, but after that he came back, fought Thomas Almeida. Thomas Almeida unfortunately just got cut from the UFC, but prior to that, man, I think he was like 20 wins, 1 loss at one point, but unfortunately he lost to Cody Garbrandt, and from there it went a bit downhill. Beat Chris Moutinho, who fought him on short notice. So yeah, I mean, Chris Moutinho's got a fight coming up, looking forward to it. And Chris Moutinho got a lot of stock out of that fight, so if Raulian Paiva can put on a good performance, he's going to make a big name out of himself. But I've got O'Malley by KO. I genuinely do think that he will finish Raulian Paiva in this fight. Pedro Munhoz versus Dominick Cruz. This is a hard fight to pick, man. Both guys are kind of old. I didn't actually realize how old Dominick Cruz was until I looked at this fight. Dominick Cruz is 36 years old. I don't know why, but I still thought he was like 34 or something like that, which is stupid. But anyway, we've got Dominick Cruz coming off that split decision win over Casey Kenny. I thought he won the fight relatively clearly. And before that, coming off the loss to Henry Cejudo and the decision loss to Cody Garbrandt, which was about 5 years ago. Man, I did not realize it was that long ago. So he came back after a long hiatus, fought Henry Cejudo, got knocked out, and came back again to fight Casey Kenny. Now he's going to be a little bit more active. He's fighting Pedro Munhoz, who most recently came off that loss to Jose Aldo by decision. But before that, he beat Jimmy Rivera and lost to Frankie Edgar and Aljamain Sterling, which aren't really bad losses at all. And he's got a Cody Garbrandt KO win on his record, which is very respectable. Man, I don't know who to pick here. Like, do I go with Dominick Cruz? I mean, Dominick Cruz is well known for setting such good traps on the feet. Pedro Munhoz is pretty good himself. Man, just an early pick. I'm just gonna go with Dominick Cruz because he's Dominick Cruz. That I can see Pedro Munhoz winning this fight for sure. Brandon Royval versus Rogerio Bontorin. I think Brandon Royval has Rogerio's name, man. I think Brandon Royval's gonna submit him very early on in the fight. He had that loss to Alejandro Pantoja. I picked Alejandro Pantoja in that one, and not a lot of people did. And before that, he lost to Brandon Moreno after like an injury. KO TKO loss. I mean, that happens, dude. Brandon Moreno is currently the champion. Before that, he was on a win streak over Kai Kara France. I think that was a rematch, actually, with Kai Kara France. Maybe, or maybe I'm just really stupid. Probably I'm just really dumb. But he's got a win over Tim Elliott as well, which is actually not too bad. Tim Elliott's been on a 2-fight winning streak since then and is fighting this weekend, actually. Rogerio Bontorin lost to Kai Kara France by KO in the first round after pretty much almost submitting him for like 4 minutes straight. Kai Kara France just stands up pretty much at the end of the round and knocks him out cold, runs away. The ref doesn't stop it, so Kai Kara France runs back to finish off the fight, and then the ref pushes him away, so it didn't really happen. Win over Matt Schnell, that's a pretty good win, unanimous decision as well, but 4 months ago. I've got Royval, I've got him by submission, so does the majority of the community. Moving on, we've got Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa. I don't know why this is on a fight night. This should be like on a prelims or even like opening up the main event of a pay-per-view. And the reason for that is Tai Tuivasa is just so fan-friendly, man. I don't know why they're doing this fight but without any fans. They should have Tai Tuivasa in there. I wouldn't care if it was an early prelim. I know that doesn't make any sense, but Tai Tuivasa needs to be in there with an arena full of fans, and he's going to get the job done. He's going to knock out Augusto Sakai, probably in the first round. I've never really been too high on Sakai. I picked Rosenstrike to knock him out in the first round. Rosenstrike obviously knocked him out in the first round, and he lost to Alistair Overeem as well. I mean, this is old Overeem too, so that's not really the best look in my opinion. Alistair Overeem, obviously a legend of the game, and it really sucks that the UFC cut him. But prior to that, a split decision win over Blagoy Ivanov. Yeah. A KO win over Marcin Tybura. That's actually a really good win in my opinion. And then they split decision win over Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, these days, not so good, but back in the day, that would have been good. But I've got Tai Tuivasa, man, KO in the first round. Darren Elkins versus Cub Swanson to finish off their night. I've got Cub Swanson, man. Dude, Darren Elkins low-key coming back, though, on a 2-fight winning streak. Had that comeback win over Derek Minner and a win over Eduardo Garagori. And Cub Swanson, on the other hand, just most recently lost to Giga Chikadze. And that pretty much put Giga Chikadze in the rankings after that fight. And then he fought Edson Barboza. And before that, he has a win over Daniel Pineda, Kron Gracie as well, who was undefeated at the time. And before that, a split decision loss to Shane Burgos and a loss to Renato Moicano. I've got Cub Swanson on this one, but Darren Elkins by like submission or KO in the third round after getting absolutely dominated in the first 2 rounds. I mean, that could be a play as well, but I've got to go with Cub Swanson, man. I do think that he does get the job done. All respect to Darren Elkins as well. Always an exciting fighter, but yeah, I've got Cub Swanson. I do think the fight... Yeah, I think the fight will probably go maybe the distance. I think it will at least hit the third round, but there's only 82 predictions. We'll see what happens, but I've got Swanson anyway. And that's this week's fight picks, and I'll see you guys in another one.